All right, welcome back to another When Starbucks Was Fun. And we're really excited because obviously you can see we have a guest. For those of you who are listening, you don't know yet, but you will hear from her soon. This is Ep7. And of course, we want to bring people on from the old school days. For those of you who are new, I'm Adele Levine, one of your hosts.
And I'm Jeff Hartman, your other host.
And this is a podcast about opening up the fifth Starbucks in LA back in the 90s. And with that said, we had to bring our guest, the Pastry Queen.
The amazing Brenda Garcia.
Yay!
I'm going to go old Arsenio.
Might as well. We're talking 90s. We're talking 90s.
Oh, Brenda.
All
right. I'm so
right.
excited to be here. I've been catching up on all of your podcasts, and it's been jogging my memory, and I'm like, oh my gosh. You guys both have an amazing memory for things, and so we'll see. We'll see if I can add.
I think you'll be fine. I think we're gonna jog.
I think trauma, they say, tends to burn in your brain a little longer.
This is like a group therapy session, so oh boy, Brenda, you look exactly the same as I remember,
and so do both of you. Honestly,
I'm a little less, but thank you.
She does.
A little more, a little less.
Yeah, those amazing eyes. For those of you who are listening, I remember when I met Brenda, I was like, damn, those eyes.
Those eyes. She has like hazily green, gorgeous,
piercing eyes.
Exotic. She was exotic.
Very, very, very like cat-like.
Yes, yeah. I was gonna say that, but I didn't want it to sound negative.
It stood out. It stood out for sure. So we are going to kind of get going and just let's give people a little background of how we know Brenda. I feel like, to be honest, my memory of Brenda is that she just kind of was there. Like, I don't remember coming in. I don't remember like the beginning, like, hey, this is me, Brenda. I just like, she's here. That's what I remember.
I remember her coming in around the same time I did, right, Brenda?
Yes. So I was hired November 1994.
Same.
So my partner number 21, 44, 42.
Shut! What do you see? Earlier you were saying
mine was exactly the same, except the last two were 06.
And mine is, I have no.
Oh, see, idea. So you're before me.
Yeah, but it wasn't much. I feel like we started right around the same time.
We did. Because I have a recollection. I think you and I were like paired up with Nika. Was her name Nika? Was there a girl named Nika? Does that ring a bell?
There was a girl. It does ring a bell.
Yeah. And so we were stuck, I think, bagging 1-pound bags of coffee beans, like pre-bagging them for
retail.
Yeah, for retail, exactly. And marking them with a Sharpie on the very bottom.
Oh, God. I don't remember that. I blocked it out.
Probably. Well, I opened a store, so I feel like that's probably why I felt like you just were there. Like, I don't remember, because it wasn't really a big deal if we were getting new people in those beginning days. It was kind of like welcomed, because I remember just always being happy to have,
because it was so busy.
Help, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, Adela, you were responsible for training me on bar.
Oh,
so, yes.
Listen, to be fair, people said I was a good trainer. I was a good trainer.
You were. Thank you. And I remember you telling me, like, you have to be really organized. You have to make sure all of the steaming pitchers are filled with milk. If they're not filled with milk, you will get behind. You will just fall apart. It's all about the milk and steaming the milk.
It was about the milk. Yeah, I did train a lot of people on bar, because I think I took to the bar, let's be honest, because I did not take to the people. I didn't. Brenda was another charming person that came on board. She was very charming.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The tips. I'll admit. Jeff and I, we were like, how do we make this tip jar grow? We're here for the money.
There you go. Mic drop. You are right. 100% correct. I mean, I love it, because you were smarter. I'm over here getting all pissed off at people, forgetting maybe tips are a good idea, Adela. Like,
I mean, yes, it's good. They were good to
Yeah.
butter up the people, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Absolutely. Because it's like whatever we made up at the, like, say, for example, if you're not having a good day at Adela, we try to like make up for it at the register somewhere
Mhm.
along the line,
Yes.
you know.
mhm.
We
Yes.
got your pastry, we got your drink. Don't
Yeah,
mind
you
her.
were
She's
very
having a
good at
bad
that.
time. She's
Don't
having a
mind
bad
her.
day.
She's just in a bad mood all the time.
I was very angry in my 20s. I had went through a lot of hard stuff. And I was kind of like growing up in LA, I was kind of like resentful that people were treating us like not, like not great. I was a
Like,
little resentful about it.
you mean Gen X in general?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was just like the attitude of like, remember like when we were doing coffee in those days, it was definitely looked down upon. Like there was a like look at like bring out that barista thing. Do you have that barista like
Barista.
the
What?
little action figure?
Oh, yeah.
Like this is kind of he has this action figure that
I'm
is
sure she's seen it.
literally my epitome. If you read the back, this is epitome. Here, wait, let's give it so people can see at
This was
home.
not a Starbucks
Not
product.
a Starbucks product. And on the back, this is what it says. Introducing Nico. She's a barista who pulls your morning espresso. No other barista in town makes a latte like Nico. Her beans are freshly ground. She taps her filter. But then it goes like onto this. Nico earned a liberal arts degree
Of course.
and moved to Seattle after brief stint in the Peace Corps because it's making fun of us trying to make a change, right? And Boomer, drawn here by the music scene and abundance of thrift stores. By the way, I
Wow.
shopped at a lot of thrift stores for everybody
So
to
did
know.
I.
In the 90s,
Yeah.
that was a thing.
She
Yeah.
bought a used Vespa and rented a bedroom in a shared apartment. What a loser for getting a roommate. You know what I mean? And above a tattoo studio. This is their idea. Her drink isn't coffee; it's wheatgrass, organic, of course, and she only smokes dare drum filtered cloves.
Cloves. Oh, I did like the
She's
smell of
strict
cloves.
vegan and will quickly point out that sandals are 100% man-made. What a lame. This is what I felt like they saw us like.
That's terrible. Jeff, how old is that action figure?
Probably 20, probably about 1998.
And the funny thing is that could fit
In package,
today.
mint.
And couldn't it fit today like a lot of Z-Gen? So it's kind of funny. So I think that was why I was like really irritated that we're always kind of like a little thumb on us. And you guys were always saying stuff like, just let it roll off. Just let it roll off.
And what did you always say?
What did I always say?
In the real world, it's just coffee. In the real world, it's just coffee.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because I felt like in the real world, people were viewing us a certain way. So, but yeah. So,
Well, but then, yes, but we also were like celebrities, kind of. I mean, like, I remember going places, like Adela has said, where you get recognized. Like, do you work at the Starbucks in Studio City or Toluca Lake or whatever? And it was kind of like, yeah. And it was kind of weird.
it was very weird.
I'm sure you got recognized.
Did you ever
All
have
the
anybody?
time? Yeah. So let's just fast forward a little bit. So I ended up working for Apple in 2008.
I remember that.
So
I
was
do
going
remember
from
that.
yeah, so going from Starbucks to Apple, and I was working at the Third Street Promenade Apple store, and then I remember it was like maybe my first or 2 weeks there, and the customer says, "Starbucks girl, hello Starbucks girl," and I turned around, and it was just some customer. She's like, "Studio City, right?" And it was like, "Yeah," but recollection of who she was. I mean, how many hundreds of people did we see every single day?
Right.
But
right.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, we had our usuals. I mean, our regulars.
Yes.
But we didn't know everybody. I had a guy. I want to say it was 3 years ago. I'm in line at Bank of America just being a civilian, and he walks by and he goes, "Double shot espresso macchiato," and I'm like, And then I remembered his name was Eric, and I'm like, "Hey, Eric," and he's like, "I'm like, it's not funny anymore. That was 30 fucking years ago."
I mean, yeah,
Come on.
that's crazy. I remember, like, I told this on another episode that I loved the show Northern Exposure, and then one of the actors was, I think, at a DMV. I don't know. I was somewhere out, and he was like, I don't remember what it was, and I was like, oh my god, it's that guy. Blah blah blah. And he came up to me, and he's like, "Aren't you the Starbucks girl?" And I was like, "What is that?" Was like a weird time.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Yeah.
a whole different world today.
It was, because now there's everywhere. I mean, they're in every corner, every Target, every Bonds, every thing.
Yeah.
It's not as special.
It's a normal, it's such a normal part of life now that, like, any show I watch, and I watch some trashy reality show, okay? Any of these shows, they are walking in with a Starbucks cup. Like, it's just like a normal, like,
Back then it
like
was-
McDonald's.
Back then, we couldn't even have people photograph. Remember when people couldn't photograph in the store?
Oh, absolutely. Like, no menu boards, none of the retail.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Could they take pictures of us? I don't think so, because
No.
of the apron. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
They could
different time.
I think they could take pictures of each other, like, facing out, but they couldn't
Yes.
face in. And I remember many times whether it was Andy or a shift lead or Tony saying, "You have to tell them not to take a picture." And you're
Yeah.
like,
We had to tell people, like, no photos,
So
like
weird.
we were like Versailles or something. Like we were like the palace at in England. It was very
crazy.
Different time.
Yeah. And they had real cameras. That's we have talked about the fact that smartphones sort of threw everything against the wall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's so true. I actually remember. So, at one point, of course, I get promoted. I'm a store manager over at Ventura and Alcove. No, not Ventura and Alcove.
Wow.
So just down the street. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she went. Go ahead.
I did the whole path. We'll get there.
We're gonna get there. Well, that's on our list.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
But anyway, so Britney Spears had come in.
Oh,
it was before she shaved her head at the salon next door. But once again, back in those days, I mean, I remember seeing paparazzi at the store, outside the store. They knew that they weren't allowed in. So do you remember that? Like, they knew that they couldn't come in, and I just was like, what's all of the the commotion outside the store? Because I didn't recognize her. I was one of those baristas that had no clue who these celebrities were, because they would walk in, no makeup, hoodie.
I don't think you cared. I don't remember you.
I didn't really care.
You weren't that impressed with that. Yeah.
No. And then, like, I find out later on that she had gone next door, shaved her head, and then then walked out the back door, and then the salon people came over next door, and they're like, "Oh my god, do you know who that was?" And I'm like, "No." Yeah, so we had a lot of stuff going on at Starbucks way back when, and I just felt so clueless. I mean, because if you think about it, at the time, they came in so frequently, and at some point, I think that we just sort of, I don't want to say that we were jaded, but we kind of, like, took it for granted that we were exposed to so many people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we've said in the past. Like, we told a couple of our own celebrity stories.
But we do want to hear Brenda's.
But I want to.
That was a good one.
So
that was a good
Studio
one.
City.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
1994, or whenever you left, because I know you left a few years into it. What was your favorite celebrity sighting?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait.
With you.
I'm sorry. I have two.
Okay.
I want to hear.
Okay.
We want to hear.
And these are both Toluca Lake. So I was with you, and I went to Toluca Lake after Studio City. We opened up that store together. My first one, Julie Andrews. Were you there with me, Jeff, when Julie Andrews came in?
No, because if I was, I would have been in a puddle.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So she came in. I don't know, but maybe a friend of hers, she was shooting down the street at Warner Brothers. And I'm not a starstruck person, but it was like, oh my gosh. The hills were alive, you know. I mean, I was just like, "Holy crap! It's Julie Andrews!"
White dresses with blue satin sashes.
You were like, how would you like your latte? And she's like, with a spoonful of sugar. That's amazing, because I would have probably had to be resuscitated if Julie Andrews had come in.
He would have passed out.
Second. What's your other second one?
Yeah, what's the second one?
Can't hear you.
Bob Hope.
Bob Hope.
Remember when? So Bob Hope used to come during. I don't know.
Name on the street, like you guys are.
Oh, that's farther up, but yeah, Bob Hope Drive. Yes, correct.
So he would come in, and Jeff, you should. Like, he used to come in early in the morning with his caregiver, roughly around 5:36, right when the store opened up. And we're going back to Toluca Lake because he lived down the street.
Yes.
So he would come in, and I think at that time he was maybe early stages of dementia, perhaps. But he would come in with his caregiver, and they'd come in singing like one of the show tunes. And so I just remember like looking up, putting the pastries in the pastry case, and there he is, you know, and his caregiver would, you know, take him to sit down, he'd come up, but Bob would just continue to sing, and he would just continue to sing. His caretaker would place the order and then join in back in song, carry on.
Wow.
I did not know. I was not, either my memory is gone or I just wasn't there. But I think you
weren't there because you have a great memory.
I think I worked a lot of mid shifts and evening shifts at Toluca Lake.
Yeah. So those were my two favorites. You know, I'll just always remember Bob Hope. I mean, because that was a daily occurrence that they would come in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
See, and nowadays, like we talked, Adela and I have said this on a previous podcast, is you don't see celebrities out as much. And I think it has a lot to do with
phones,
with your smartphone, like, you know, walking up with a freaking camera in your face, you know?
Yeah.
People back then, people could just like, I mean, I opened up the Hollywood and Vine store, Hollywood and La Brea store, Sunset and La Brea store in Hollywood. Sorry. And it was like
one of those.
It was like one of those, like, you know, there's a lot of ladies of the night, but there was a lot during the day. There was a lot of celebrities, and Quentin Tarantino came in.
Oh, wow!
Sat in the store, and I was a shift lead at the time, and one of the employees was like almost having a heart attack, and I was like, you gotta like calm down, you gotta be cool, you gotta be a little cooler than that. And people like that. And I remember Forrest Whitaker came in.
Wow.
He would come in every day. He got I still remember his drink, a grande mocha frappuccino with whip. And one day I was standing in line because, you know, like I was off work, and he's like, oh, they let you out of the cage, did they? And he's just like talking to me like he knows me.
Yeah, that was the cool part. Like they kind of talked to you just like you were on their level. It wasn't like, you're the help and I'm the boss. You know,
they
that kind
were
of thing.
Nicer to us than I think PAs and people like that
for
were.
Sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I mean, do you remember back in the day? And I think that this is also when we were all at Studio City.
Yes.
We had a fax machine. So Tony had grabbed a fax machine, and we used to get all of our
orders
through the fax machine. I mean, they would call, but then they would also have like fax machine orders.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God, the studio orders.
Yes.
Well, that's what Adela and I were talking about. Is that's sort of when we started putting names on cups for the studio orders, because we had to they couldn't read the shorthand, so they were like,
it was easier for them to just get it straight because they didn't know what decaf grande non-fat latte and all the stuff that we did. We
all
didn't
of
have
our shorthand.
We didn't have boxes then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I don't know if you recall this, but we were actually the test store for the names on cups. So Studio City
I do recall this
because of that.
To put the stickers.
Yes,
we were the name for names on cups.
Well, the names on cups.
Yes,
I did not know
that. That started with the Studio City or all of the studio orders, and that involved.
because I don't
Yeah.
remember Studio City. I must have left.
It must have been after you left.
Yeah. So at some point in time, we just said, well, hey, let's try names on cups instead. And so we were the only ones testing it. So instead of calling out grande non-fat latte, I mean, we still had to write grande non-fat latte on
Right.
the cup, but then
Right.
we would, write like Jeff or Adele on the cup. And instead of yelling out the drink, we would just say, hey, Jeff, your drink's ready. Adela, your order's ready.
Right.
Yeah. So that came from,
Well, Tony did tell us that we were the test market for Sharpies, or we started. It was because of our.
He started
the
Sharpie.
The Sharpie thing. Sorry, Tony. Don't sue me.
Tony. But I also remember when they started the boxes and we had to put the stickers. They were doing stickers of the boxes, and we were having to put the stickers on them, like a long sticker, and that's how we were checking.
Weren't they like
they weren't
Post-its? They were like Post-its.
No. I remember when we were putting stickers on for boxes. That's before they printed them onto the
cups.
I
think that was before you and I, Jeff, because I don't remember. They were already printed on the cups.
No. They weren't printed on the cups. They were not. When you guys started, we were still doing the shorthand.
They didn't have the
Oh, and wasn't it like on the seam somewhere? Like the seam of the cup?
Seam. I remember
she has a Starbucks cup, ladies
and gentlemen. She has an ice cup.
Beep, 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 beep,
Wait,
beep, beep,
we have to ask her, what's your go-to drink, Brenda?
This is an ice grande hazelnut oat nut shaken espresso.
That's what I get. That's mine. Word. OG. Right here.
That's Jeff's.
But I will tell you though, my other go-to drink is actually a Jeff special. Jeff, I don't know if you remember, because you taught me this drink. It is an ice grande chai latte with 2 pumps of espresso. No, sugar-free vanilla.
With 2 shots of espresso?
Yeah, with 2 shots of espresso.
You know that
dirty chai. Dirty chai.
Dirty chai.
You know what's so funny is I have another podcast called The House Medium, where I have my own coffee shop online called Medium Brew Cafe. And one of my listeners told me that drink, and because I was like, it's really good.
People used to get that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was a big hit before the secret menus. TikTokers.
My drink when I worked, when I needed to get a kick, was an ice mocha in a short glass with raspberry, and I would just down it, double shot, and then I would be like, bing! I would be like, let's go, ladies and gentlemen.
That's energy in a cup.
That was my drink. And sometimes when I really need it, I'll revert back to that, but that's like very rare.
That's rich.
That's rich.
And I don't think raspberry is even an option right now.
I don't think it is. So I think you're correct.
You remember the Mocha Valencia with the orange?
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, that was disgusting.
These are like 90s flavors, right? Flavors of the 90s.
Yeah. Totally, dude.
They wouldn't know what we were talking about.
We're like, what's a Valencia?
I like the shaken one. I used to get that a lot, but then I think the oat milk started getting to my tummy. So I do like, my go-to is an ice Americano with a shot of vanilla, and then I put whipped cream on top. That was my other drink when I worked. That way you just get the cream and the sugar and you're done. And then it's like you still get the flavor of coffee, and it's cheaper. It's very cheap.
I used to like getting an Americano with just ice, no water.
Well, look at you. Wow.
So do you remember when we would have customers that would order like a venti cup of ice and then like a double shot of espresso? Yes. Then they go to the condiment bar and they make their own.
I didn't have the balls to do that, but I
totally did.
I do get a double shot over ice, and I come home and take a bottle of water, and I'm like, there's my Americano, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, and this is why they discontinued the condiment bars, probably.
Well, probably. People
probably.
That's a hack. That's a hack, by the way. Or you could still do it and just go home and put your own milk in it, you know.
Well, everybody's on their way in and out.
That's true.
Everybody's on their way to work or somewhere else.
That's true. They're going someplace. Okay, we have a question I want to ask you.
Okay.
So when I started, we opened the store. I opened the store with Tony, and we got trained at the Sherman Oaks store. And then upstairs, they had like espresso bars and things. And it was kind of like, I remember being like impressed, like, this is like, I thought I was just getting a coffee job. This is like crazy. Like, I'm becoming a airline, attendant or something. It was like let's do like
Boot camp.
practice. Yeah, it was
Boot camp.
crazy. But
Yeah.
he went to the Carriage Inn
Mhm.
to do his. Where did you go?
The Carriage Inn as well.
Oh,
And
yes.
Oh my God. Were you
remember,
scared as
like,
a woman?
I remember going into some meet, or it was like a room. There was a bed in the room.
Shut up.
No. And I remember looking around going, I think I got there maybe early. I was either the first person or maybe there was one other person. There was like no trainer had shown up yet. And I was like, where do I sit? Do I sit on the bed? Because there was like there was like nothing set up.
I can't even like, do you remember how old you were at the time? 25 you went out. 25? Did you say 25?
Yeah. Oh, you mean when we got hired?
No, when you went to the Carriage Inn.
Oh, wait. What 1994.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so in November.
Yeah.
So you're about 25. Okay, so you're 25.
Yes.
And you're going to the Carriage Inn, and
Yeah.
there's a bed. Did you go home, or did you like call up your parents and like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but this is LA because
Well, you'd have to find a payphone first.
I mean,
because we didn't have cell phones, folks. Yeah.
And she's like, hi.
Yeah.
I'm in a room with the bed, Mom and Dad. I don't know. Please make sure I'm okay. That did it alarm you at all?
I don't know. I think like right when I got in, I think like 2 or 3 other people showed up, and we are all kind of like looking at each other, and so I felt okay. Like, but it was just like the weirdest thing.
I wonder if you were in because I went there too.
Yeah.
And what Tony had said is because they were hiring people at such a fast rate, they had to find other options, and this was one of the options. Not a great option. 2024 now. Showing up in a hotel room.
No.
With some randos.
No, it's totally sketchy. And when I think about it, because Tony told us that July 5th, which is actually coming up this week, was when we opened the store in 1994. So this is when I opened it up with him. So you guys are not coming too
30 years ago.
Okay, shut up.
Jeez Louise.
Wow.
You were an infant when you started.
That's right.
Child prodigy.
Exactly. Because I'm only 30 now. So that's why.
Okay. Back to reality.
So the thing that's so weird is that it's not that long. I mean, it's like July. How many months is that to November? Like 4 or 5. Wait, is that 5 months?
August. 4 months.
Yeah, about 4 months. So the fact that they were opening up the stores so fast that they had to go like, well, let's just go to a motel, like a hooker motel. That'll work. I mean,
I've stayed there before. They rent them by the hour. It's fine. They won't know any difference. We'll give them a notebook.
They're like, Bob, how do you know about this for trading?
Well, and I don't know if you guys remember, and Jeff, because I had to go back to classes afterwards, but there was like a class about like identifying all the different kinds of coffee. It was like coffee knowledge. So we were like in Starbucks experience, I think in the hotel. Then there was coffee knowledge. And then there was like another class where we learned how to take like the espresso machines apart because we had to clean them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that. I think it was on the job training.
No. You know what I think you're mixing up, Brenda, is that if you were going to go and become a lead or go into any kind of managerial position, they wanted you to learn that because that was kind of part of what you had to know as a manager or a lead.
I think it was well, here's the funny thing. So going back in time, Eleanor used to teach that class, and so did Tammy. Yeah. So
with Tammy?
Well, they taught the classes separately, but I think, I mean, like Tammy Tammy got hired several months after us.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think like you and I became shift supervisors, Jeff, around the same time.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I hadn't taken that class yet. So I think you're right, Adela. I think maybe that's when I had to do the whole coffee knowledge class and then take apart the espresso machines.
I remember that. Oh, and by the way, if you guys hear any noise, the air's on because it's LA and I'm a lady of a certain age. I need the air on.
And I'm a lady of a certain age. It's hot AF.
And that
it
is 35. No, just kidding. So I definitely do remember because I remember like weirdly, like if the machine broke, somehow the managers knew what to do.
Yeah.
I remember it was like that was part of the training. Like you had to know. It was
Eleanor
like you were moving
was really
up.
good with that. Like she was like, just move over.
And the grinders
Yes.
too.
We had to clean the grinders out. I think that there was like a schedule that
You just gave me a memory flash, the little brush.
That's why I did this. I just had a I think I went back in time.
We went back in time. Wow.
I remember one time I was cleaning the bar at night. It was a closing shift. And I was talking to Matt. You know, Matt and I got, I mean, we were besties. So we were, blah, 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 and I had just ground all the beans out of the, that were in the reservoir. I'd taken the cone off and all that.
Yeah.
And sometimes if we couldn't find a brush, we would use our pinky to go up into the hole.
What?
Oh, yes. And guess what Jeff did?
Oh!
Sliced the shit out of my finger. And I just went, like, looked at it, and I'm like, oh my God. And Matt's like, oh, just come over here. And he, like, washes it, and it's just, like, bleeding. And, like, Jeff, I thought I was going to I didn't even go get stitches, and it was throbbing.
I was very freaked out, but I also had a grandmother that was very scared of garbage disposal. So I think I had this in my head. But I remember that.
That's a whole other episode.
That's a different episode. But I remember that, like, it just flashed that we had this long brush. For those of you listening, it was like a long brush, almost like a hot dog as long. And then you had
a bottle brush, kind of.
No, it was like a actual, like you brush like almost like it's almost like I'm trying to describe like a hairbrush, let's say, but long with long bristles and floppy.
Yeah,
floppy. And then you would have to like push the beans down, and then remember you had to bang the thing to bring the extra grinds out. And then you would have to turn it to 0 and then to coarse and then empty the grinds out. This is just all came back to me right now.
I'm having anxiety.
And I'm getting I'm having a hot flash. Let me see.
I need some water. Hold on.
Because the thing is that we were so trained that I remember like years later when Costco was like, you can grind your own beans. I was like, you're not doing it right. I used to go to people like, you need to empty the grind. You're not doing it correct.
Are you cleaning this on a daily
Obviously,
basis?
you don't know what you're doing.
I just remember the portafilters, how it got that sludge.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to get that like weird bristle brush that you were like scrubbing.
For the layman's, explain what a portafilter is.
A portafilter. A portafilter was part of an espresso machine that you would lock in with the grinds to pour the shot.
Very good. Thank you, Grandma. How many times have you actually used one? But that's
so, but I remember there was like a weird, like it was a really coarse brush, and it had all these little bristles, but they were really stiff, and you had to like go up under the lip of it and all this.
So if everyone can imagine like an old school espresso machine, which is so weird to say because we've watched the transition to where they've like don't have those in Starbucks anymore, but
so
like cool little coffee shops have them, like coffee shops. If you go to little regular coffee shops, houses now have them. But if you go to the espresso machine, it's like we had to clean this every day. And I was watching, you guys know the show The Bear? You watched the show The Bear?
Love The Bear.
I had not seen it, but I do know about it.
So good.
Okay. Well, yes,
Add it to the list,
add it
Brenda.
to the list.
All
Brenda.
righty.
And so they were like cleaning like the kitchen and like scrubbing every little. And I was like, that's kind of how it was. We had to scrub everything down. Remember the tray where all the coffee would come in? We had to clean the tray. We had to clean the things.
Oh God.
And we had to you had to put this stuff back flush it
with the Purocat.
Purocat, which is pretty much poison, by the way. So they just pretty much trust a bunch of 20-something-year-olds are going to clean this properly. And then soak the wands in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're wondering why I know all this, Brenda, it's because when I went on from here, I went on to manage like opening a bunch of coffee shops for a company, and I did their menu and their training and their wholesale buying. So that's why it's a little fresh in my mind, because I had to train all these people in different shops around New York and stuff that we were opening. So I had to teach them how to use it. But anyway,
that's
bar. What we're discussing, the bar.
Oof. Now,
pastries.
I'm going to transition to pastries because
alrighty.
For people who knew you, and because we've said it many times on the show, you were our pastry queen. Long live the pastry queen.
Long live the pastry queen.
Pastry queen, young and sweet, only 17.
Okay. So it's an excuse to sing that.
I mean, why not? So back then, everything was fresh. Everything was fresh. Remember, we had like 5 bakeries, and we got the best. They were all so much better than they are today.
They were pushed in. Do you remember that they had to push them in at like 5 a.m. on all those things?
Oh, okay. I remember.
And so I said pastry queen to Brenda like on Instagram, and she was like, "Oh my God, I totally forgot."
I forgot.
That. She did.
Wow.
She forgot.
I think maybe what is the truth is she blocked it out.
She's like, Adele,
the trauma. The trauma.
Well, you were in charge of all. You were actually ended up taking over all the pastry ordering for the store. Which
I don't know how that happened.
Because you were really into it.
No, you know what?
Pastries.
I believe I was like trying to like think about it, and I remember Andy Tamber, our assistant manager.
God bless Andy.
I know. I hope you bring Andy on.
We want
he's local.
We have to get a hold of him.
We have not had to get a hold of him.
Okay, I'll give you information later.
Oh.
He's on IG, so if you've got Instagram, you can message him that way.
Okay.
Anyways, so I remember Andy saying, and I think at some point Tony, but Andy was like, we need to get our pastries under control. We're overselling some stuff. We have a lot of this stuff at the end of the night.
Yeah. We're eating a lot of it.
We're eating a lot.
Arugula can't stand the jar when Adela and Jeff are here.
Totally. And I think at some point they were like, that is like the controllable thing that we just need to figure out. Like, so they're like, hey, you're the opening, chef supervisor most of the time. Take note, like, what did we sell out? Most of the time. And so I would just like, write down like what we would sell out, what customers were always begging for, like towards the afternoon shift. And so that's how it how I transitioned into taking over pastries. It was sort of like, oh, here you go. Just let me know. And then it's like, oh, well, now you start ordering the pastries. I was like, what? Me order pastries? Okay.
Yeah.
But I think like, Jeff, you and I think Matt and Tammy, even Brian would tell me like, hey, these customers at the end of the night are still asking for cinnamon rolls. I'm like, cinnamon rolls?
Oh, yeah.
At 6 p.m.? Like, what?
Because we would have these sad cinnamon rolls that would be all hard and everything. And I'd be like, well, we have some.
I forgot about the cinnamon rolls.
I forgot about it.
Yeah. So people, So what else?
What was your favorite? What was your favorite pastry back then?
Oh gosh. I love the La Brea baguette with just butter.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've said the same thing.
Same.
It was so
It was
good.
so good.
Damn, they were good.
They were good because people have to remember we were getting them from La Brea Bakery, which today would be like getting them from Porto's or something, right? That's how good the La Brea Bakery was then.
Yeah.
And that's how fresh they were. And but I will say that this would be our battle because Brenda would be like, leave me little post-its, okay?
Okay, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty.
Oh, all righty.
Gotta fan it.
She had it like down, I guess, and she would go, Adela, you didn't put the tags on in this order or that order or something. And that's how we named her Pastry Queen, because I was like, why does she care so much about these? I need to know, why did you care about those tags so much?
You know why? Because I think like early in the morning, if you always have like another opening person with you and they would not show up, it would take so long to put the pastries out in the case tomorrow. Or like, I'm sorry, for like that morning.
Yeah.
So the night before, it was so important because when we came in and as our pastry inventory grew, we had to be so fast. And I mean, like, I'm sure Jeff could tell you, I mean, like, how many times did you open by yourself?
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I
People would
opened by myself a few
oversleep.
times.
Yeah. And so it's like if you're looking for tags, if the baskets were pre-done ahead of time,
would not show up or oversleep or something. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That happened a few times when I was at North Hollywood.
It took 30 years for me to ask Brenda this question. Do you imagine how much we would have understood each other if I just asked her then, why do you care so much about the pastry tags?
But also there was a like it was like like certain muffins had to be with certain muffins, and it was like pattern. But you know, when we got a hang of it, it was just like
totally.
I don't think that was you. They sent that order, right? Of how where it had to go where?
I think so. Yeah. Well, I think like in the beginning, Tony had like a way of, I don't know if you remember, like he was pretty good at organizing things.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know, the grande cups always lived here. This always lived here. And so I think because of his movie background and the way he would like shelf things, he was like the muffins stay together, you know, the loaf stayed together, the bread stayed together, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, those pastries will always be the best, but I have to say, have you tried any of the pastries recently at the Old Bucks?
I did the banana nut loaf. That's like the one. The banana. But I don't really like anything else. I'm not really a fan.
Have an important question for Brenda.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it's gonna be.
Have you tried the egg white?
God damn the egg white bites.
I have not.
Adela, it's E.G. I'm here for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Brenda is on my side on
now
this.
We need to add Brenda's name.
Jeff,
and
this is egg white bites. Why do you hate me?
Because you're gross, slimy things. Although I will say, I told you this, my friend from college and was also one of my roommates, Amy, she works at Warner Brothers also randomly. And I ran into her on the lot the other day and she's like, oh, I'm listening. And she goes, sorry, I really like the egg white bites.
Exactly. Thank you.
And I was like, that's okay. We can still be friends.
I have her and you have Brenda.
I will always have Brenda.
The only thing I was going to say is that they still, I feel like, still make it well. And maybe you guys don't eat it very much. And I don't get it very much anymore because, you know, the body can't handle it like it used to. But
we're not 20.
The lemon loaves.
Yeah, that's good.
That is one of my favorites too.
Yes.
They still have it?
Yes.
Oh,
they kept it.
They have eliminated so many of the good pastries we had, though. They don't have regular baguettes. Pan rustic
scones, like the blueberry scones.
No scones.
Maple oatnut scone. Do you remember those?
Yes.
It's just different. Like, can you imagine today selling people like a baguette? Like, it has to be like, even the drinks are very like sugary and very like, I don't even know what the hell's going on. Like, I'll pull up and there'll be a sign and it's like summer refresh for the, you know, I've gone with people who are like younger, who are used to Starbucks, millennials, you know, and they're like, can I get one pump of this and one pump of that of the summer fresh strawberry breeze? And I'm like, what? Yeah, they have like a lot of non-coffee drinks that have these like they just basically
Boba.
I have no idea what's going on.
Boba.
Boba's available at Starbucks?
Yes.
Yeah.
At Starbucks.
At Starbucks. You don't see it at yours?
I don't no.
You probably
Burbank
don't.
area?
Well, do you have the app?
I do.
Okay. If you look under the featured, it'll come up. And now they have
I can add boba to my ice shaken espresso.
Ew, why would you want to?
No. It's a boba drink.
It's a boba specific drink. I think it must be like a tea drink, maybe.
Okay.
And speaking of the app, I have to bring up, I told this girl on TikTok that I'd give a shout out on our podcast. She posted a weirdest, this is going to a little sidetrack, but speaking of the app, she said that she got banned from Starbucks bathrooms because the app tracked that she was going to the bathroom for an hour each time, too many times a day. So they banned her through the app.
Anybody How would they keep track of that?
We don't know.
I know. Location.
Real?
That is so weird.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of bathrooms, do you remember the broken toilet incident with Robert?
Robert, a little taste size.
Oh, yes.
Remember?
Where it broke?
Yes, because we were both working and we heard a smash.
Yes.
And then he came running out, like kind of walking really fast out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then water started coming into the lobby and you walked in and you're like, the toilet's broke.
We don't know. We don't know if he had an alien ship land in that toilet because Robert was always a mystery. He would come and he would go. He would appear clean and then he would not. And just so he broke the toilet. Nobody knows. Yeah. He was a tall, skinny guy. He wasn't like a big guy.
But it was like a hole in the side of it. Remember?
But what did he break it with? And because that's the thing, we don't know.
That's what we were kind of like.
Maybe he carried a knife and we didn't know.
You can't break a toilet with a knife.
He was always a mystery, don't you think? Because he would
absolutely. Yeah. But here's the funny thing is that toilet, that one bathroom. There were so many issues with. I mean, I remember opening up New Year's Day. Oh my God. So whoever, and so I was the opener and there were people who had been partying and I was like, why am I taking this shift? And so you get all of the drunk people from New Year's Eve coming in. Yeah. It was a mess. And that bathroom was a terrible shift.
Oh,
terrible shift.
I have a question, Brenda. Did you ever close or did you only open?
I closed, but not as much because I think everybody that was going to school took all the closing shifts for the most part, or people who had other jobs. And so, the 4:30 in the morning was not the choice.
Oh God, that was I don't remember having to get there that early. I remember like 5:15.
The 6. Yeah. So there were 3 openers at 4:30 in the morning, and then there was like a 5:15 or like a 6 a.m., 6 to 2, then the 7 o'clock. And then do you guys remember the lines at the door?
Yes. We've talked about this.
Have you?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, do you remember at one point, Tony was like, okay, our high right now is over 100. He had this report.
Yes.
And I remember there was, I don't know who was working with me, but I know it was all of us key people. I think it was 134.
I remember
from
that.
8 to 8:30 or something
it was in a half-hour period. Yeah.
Yes.
We used to get half-hour reports because he used to go, oh, let's see if we can up it a notch. And, and I was like, what? because I was saying when he was on the podcast, he, because I was a bar person, he used to think it was fun to see how many drinks can pull from
how far to push
me.
Yeah.
It was like a game. I mean, it did kind of make it fun, but I remember that was always a thing, how much numbers, our numbers will go up, but the morning shift was very much about the numbers for sure.
God, I just remember having the speed register open. Was that what we called it?
Yeah.
Yes.
On the left side of,
Mm-hmm.
if you're on the bar, that side.
Right.
And then on that side was the main register. And
He's
sometimes
pointing to the left and to the right for people listening.
Oh, sorry. Yes. I keep.
It's okay. I'm
I know.
helping you out.
I'm getting
Stage
one.
left, stage right.
Stage left, stage right. And then beyond that, in Beanland, if it even got crazier, we'd even
Yes.
pop people over there just for drip coffee and pastries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we
Yeah.
had like 3 registers open at one time. And I mean, our deployment was like, it was on par. We were,
Yes.
we knew exactly what we were doing.
Yes.
And I feel like now if you decide to walk into a Starbucks,
Yeah.
I just go, what is going on?
I don't know. I watched them and I'm like trying to figure out the order.
Like, what are they? Yeah.
The one thing I did learn from working there and working with Tony is that when I did do other things, like I managed a store for this company called JavaU, and then we opened stores. I learned about like how to do order, how to do streamline. Like it absolutely, like I had the cleanest, the best profit store because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you walk in today, I don't know what the order is. I'm like trying to figure it out all the time, and I can't because everyone just looks like they're
doing a million things.
Yeah, there isn't like a bar person and a like a ice drink person. I don't know what's going on.
We had talked last week. We have an insider named Deep Roast, and that person told us, that person told us that there really isn't a specificity of what is first. The person I spoke with, I'll tell you off camera. The person I spoke with said that they when they're on bar, they're doing mobile in the afternoon because they've cut so much labor because of the unionization thing that they are doing bar orders, cafe orders, mobile orders, and drive-through orders. One person.
Yeah, they don't have like designated people to things, which I thought they were doing.
Yeah.
Well, then I thought I had figured it out. So I will tell you, Adela, one of the reasons why I went to mobile order is because the stores in my area, I discovered that they were prioritizing mobile orders. So if you place an order inside the store, you'll see people walk in and out, they'll pick up their drink and they'll leave. And I waited, I clocked it 20 minutes one day for my in-store order because they thought I was for here. It was terrible.
Do they even do for here anymore? I've never seen anybody sitting
I think means for here, like
in the cafe.
She walked
in the cafe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed that most restaurants now, if you, because of like Uber Eats and, you know, like they prioritize for the drivers and for people picking up, the mobile orders. And so in general, if you've got like a store or favorite restaurant that you like to go to, order online using the app, you'll get your order faster than if you decide to stay in.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I have noticed when I go into the cafe and I place an order, it's always like they're putting out other drinks before mine and they're just sitting there.
Yeah.
You know, because people don't show up right when their drink is ready.
Exactly.
And I'm like, dude, and you're right. They don't, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's really, really crazy.
I wanted to clarify. So you went into management. Did you go any past management or was that?
So then I became a district manager. So I did the whole, I did. Yeah.
Snap for Brenda.
Business lady.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, you know, honestly, Andy Tamber was sort of like my fairy godmother, kind of like gently pushing me along the way. He's like, well, you're already doing this. You might as well become an assistant. Oh, you're already doing this. You might as well become a manager.
Right.
Yeah.
A couple of years later.
I loved Brenda.
Yeah.
She was the golden
Well, why wouldn't you love Brenda?
That was not nice.
No, I'm not saying that you wouldn't love her. I'm like, why wouldn't anybody love Brenda?
It was a little bit.
Not at all.
I'm teasing.
You're taking it very
I'm
sensitively.
teasing. No, she totally made sense, and I knew she went DM. That's why I wanted to go back to it, because I had thought I remembered her going all the way up.
I didn't know that.
She was a business lady.
What was your district, if you don't mind my asking?
Gosh, no, not at all. So when I first, oh boy, I can't remember, because they moved us around quite a bit.
Okay.
So at one point, I had like the let's see, when I left, I had the Beverly Hills district, but at one point, I had like West LA. So it was like 405, kind of like Santa Monica, like West LA is sort of like in that weird,
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's still Los Angeles, but it's not necessarily Santa Monica or Culver City.
Yeah, like Westwoody kind of.
Yeah, but east of Westwood. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So I started off with like the West LA. Oh, and Brentwood. I had Brentwood too. So West LA and Brentwood. Yeah, fancy.
Yeah.
And then after that, then I got the Santa Monica, and then I had the Westwood area. I mean, and then Beverly Hills. And Beverly Hills, that was a tough
that must
area.
have been tough.
Did that break you?
For the most part, yeah.
Is that when you left the Apple?
Yeah, and then well, I think like so I ended up having a skateboarding injury on my day off, and I tore my Achilles. Yeah.
You tore your Achilles.
I tore my Achilles, and
See,
so
don't let all her graciousness for
No.
badass under there.
And so then I took a leave of absence because I couldn't walk around. I think it was like 6 months for me to, I was like kind of like in this boot. And at the same time, I had a really great boss who was like, hey, he saw a lot of changes happening with Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I feel like in order for you to grow professionally or even just as a human being, you may want to consider going to another corporation, perhaps. He was sort of like nudging me along, like there was like writing on the wall that's coming down. It's getting more corporate-y, very numbers driven.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the timing was great. So I went out, and then I just, decided to look around. So I was like sitting on my computer at home with my leg up, and I was like, oh, how about Apple? And Apple was just starting, just like Starbucks had.
Right.
And they needed people with experience around customer service and training and long lines. And that's how I joined Apple. Yeah.
So you were on the brink of two cultural phenomenons, Brenda.
Oh my gosh.
You should get a mic drop for that.
Gen X.
I mean, come on. Mic drop.
Double
trouble.
What are you doing now? What do you?
So now I actually do a lot of fulfillment and tech support for the wine industry. So, so I went from coffee to computers and now to wine. Yeah.
She's famous.
So I know. And so it's like a lot of times, so I'll just mention this. So during the pandemic, a lot of wineries had no idea how to set up like their websites to take online to take orders. Right. So they would call my company up and they would talk to me. And I would set them up and give them tech support over their phone or help them place their order, get them going, So yeah.
Atta girl. So nice. You're a techie.
I turned in to be a techie. I don't know how that happened.
Let's ask Brenda this. Have you done VR?
I have not.
Thank you.
I have not.
A VR set, and he was like,
I'm like, what is this magic?
That's how I do my workout. One of my workouts.
Do you really?
VR. Yeah, it's called Supernatural. No, shout out to Supernatural. Yes, I'm up for sponsorship. Supernatural. Thank you. But you do like a workout where you like hit, it's basically like aerobics because it's music and you hit these things with like they almost look like they kind of stole their concept from Beat Saber, where you have saber lightsabers in your hand, and you hit these things.
Crazy.
And they play music, and then you have a coach that like coaches you while you're doing it, and it's a
Are you on an Oculus?
Yeah, I have an Oculus.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we've had an Oculus since the first generation of Oculuses, but yeah.
Yeah, my son has an Oculus, and so I'm familiar, and I've tried out the whole Apple goggle thing as well. I don't know. I'm not there yet.
A little, it still needs some time. Okay, we have.
Wait, can I ask
sure
about the I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay.
That's what happens with age.
Oh, I have a personal question because
Who are you?
It's Brenda. It's Brenda.
Wait. Hello, young lady. Have we met before? What's your name, lovely lady?
Brenda. She's
Brenda,
a guest on our podcast.
She's giving us pods.
It's okay.
I'm going back to sleep.
Go back to sleep. Thank you very much.
Actually, speaking of pods, do you remember the time where we would save espresso grinds to give to people for their gardens?
Yes.
I know what I was going to say.
Oh,
Grandma came back.
Grandma came back. Okay. Well, Grandma left and you came back.
When we talk about exercising, I have two very fond memories with Brenda, not at Starbucks. And it was, you took me to my very first yoga class in Studio City.
Oh.
I fell asleep.
Okay.
I remember.
And I was snoring.
He was.
And you were like, you fell asleep. Not judgmental, just like, that was cute. And you were snoring. That, and the second one was you took me to my first spin class at that same facility.
Ooh.
And I had the worst pain in the nether regions.
Oh.
I've never done either one ever again.
You turned him off to both, Brenda.
I'm sorry.
But she tried to introduce me.
But see, you gotta think about it. Like now, yoga is like.
Oh,
that was a motorcycle. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah. No, totally fine. But remember, like everybody's like so into yoga, and we were doing it way back when in the 90s and spinning. Yeah. I mean, ahead of our time.
I know.
I mean, what can we say?
I mean, look at how they were making fun of us on that barista action figure because we were into those things. They were like, "Oh, you guys are trying to be healthy.
Now?
You guys are trying to be healthy. What a bunch of weirdos!" Like,
who's laughing now?
Exactly. Thank you. On a personal note, I thought it was interesting because I was talking to Brenda on Instagram when we talked about like how me and him got close with me, because to remind everybody, I'm professionally an intuitive and a medium. Jeff was my first reading in the Starbucks, and you were like, "Oh, I didn't know that happened," because obviously I didn't really want people to know at the time. Yeah. But then Brenda's like, "Oh yeah, I was totally into stuff like that." I'm like, "What? This is another classic. Like if we just talked
more often,
because our generation, it wasn't really like we kind of kept our stuff
a little more guarded
to ourselves." Yeah. I would have been like, I would have never thought that. Because I thought I was like, "Oh, she's so classy. She's so together. She's probably gonna think I'm a total weirdo." So I would have never thought you would have been like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Isn't that crazy? How if we just talk to each other."
It's about talking.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was pretty a neat thing. Kind of matches your whole yoga thing because maybe you were like into that type of holistic self-care type of vibes, I guess, a little bit.
100%. And I think I mentioned to you Adela, so I'm going to bring up Stephen Hamblin. So
I don't think Adela remembers
Hamblin. Oh, you didn't? Maybe you left already?
Yeah, I don't really remember him.
I think they were like sort of like
maybe shifting in, shifting out. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So Stephen, maybe when you were leaving, he came on board and he was like, "I've got a psychic in Hollywood." So
Whoa.
So I was actually driving up to Santa Barbara and talking to some woman and her daughter, and I would frequent, the intuitive, the
Wow.
psychic. I would go to, what's the name of the place on Ventura
Psychic,
Boulevard? The
psychic,
psychic
um,
reader?
Psychic
psychic
eye.
eye.
The
Psychic
psychic
eye.
eye,
Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't really feel good about what they were doing there.
No, the psychic eye's terrible.
Yeah,
Horrible.
I
Yeah.
mean, and so this is the
Horrible.
90s, and I was trying to find
Mhm.
somebody local. And so Stephen Hamlin told me that he had this woman that he was going to. And so I had gone to her a couple times, and she was great, but she was really expensive. And so,
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Isn't that's
I did it all,
crazy.
Adela. I mean, I did.
Wow. I know. See, like, this is what happens when you just,
30 years later,
yeah,
you guys
Yeah,
could have been friends
I
this
was
whole
just like
time.
guarded because I
exactly.
was like embarrassed and
Well,
worried.
yeah.
Yeah. It
You were
was a
still,
different
yeah,
time.
it was we didn't talk about, well, we've talked about this,
Yeah.
Adele and I, sorry, Adele and I have talked about how mental health we didn't really talk about back in those days.
Oh, no way. I mean, it's so funny. So when I was working with Apple, and then that's like the millennial generation.
Yeah.
Right.
I was really, really shocked how many people that I was overseeing were like, oh, yeah, well, my therapist said this, and my therapist said that,
Yes.
and I'm taking these meds. I'm like, meds for what? Like, what? Like, oh, well, I'm bipolar. I mean, nobody ever talked
Nobody talked
about
about no.
Nope.
how they were feeling or what they were going through. We all
Right.
kept it penned up inside. And honestly, like, Starbucks became sort of like that outlet for me. Like, I enjoyed working with all of you because it was kind of like that place where if we were going through whatever crap, in our
True.
lives, in our 20s and growing up, and trying to find people who were almost like-minded, even though we didn't talk about it,
Yeah,
about
that's
what
Yeah,
we were
yeah,
going
true.
through.
Good
yeah.
point.
It, like, we still had such a great time, and we still had so much fun. I mean, I remember, oh my gosh, this is, I will never forget this. So, were you guys both working there when Jumbies opened up next door?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, one day, Tony had come in and he's asking everybody on the floor, who wants a shot of wheatgrass? And I
Oh,
was
I
like,
remember
were
that
you
was a
there?
new thing.
Oh,
No, but I
It was a
remember
new
that being a
thing.
new thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I said, okay, well, I mean, I hear everybody at yoga taking wheatgrass shots. Like, why not? I will try it. I was gonna die. He came back. I took a shot of espresso. Well, I thought it was like a shot of like the way you take espresso, but it
Right,
was
yeah.
right,
wheatgrass instead. And I felt nauseous, and I had to go lie down in the bag because I wanted to throw up.
right.
I tried,
Yeah.
but it was like, okay, I get this whole health kick thing or whatever,
Yeah.
mental health and wellness. And I was like,
Mhm.
I cannot do the wheatgrass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wheatgrass was disgusting. I remember having the same reaction. I was like, oh, I'm drinking a lawn right now.
No, it's true though when she talks about it because I think I don't realize that we were doing that because I said to my niece who's, she's a millennial and I said something like, "Oh, I make fresh pancakes for my son. Can you believe it? Like, I'm that person now." And she goes, "Yeah, I believe it." She goes, "You were always kind of into that natural stuff and going to Trader like back when before it was
Cool.
a big
Yeah.
thing." Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
ate like crap, but I was always
Yeah.
like trying
Yeah.
to like you said, we were trying to go like there's got to be a better way. But you're right. The millennials, I get so surprised. It's very more common for them to be like, "Oh, my therapist and this," and they're very open. We weren't
Yeah.
like that. We were like whatever we're dealing with, we kind of
Right.
laughed it off and kind of
Well,
brushed it
and
off.
to Brenda's point, we've said this before, and we
Mhm.
said it to Tony, is that because we were on the beginning of this, what would become a cultural phenomenon that we didn't even know
No.
was going to be a
Yeah.
Right.
cultural phenomenon,
Right.
and we were all in this sort of melting, like this what did I call it, an aquarium, like we were all on display,
Mhm.
and we were doing 130 people a half hour, and we were all forced into this like crazy situation, and we kind of bonded over that, and we became sort of like we've said, I haven't kept in touch with people from like former show I used to work on. I don't call them all the time. But it's like it sort of bonded us all. It created like this sort of family away from our families, sort of, so to speak.
We did. I felt like we kind of had a bond in a weird, like we were going through something, but we didn't really know, I guess, fully what it
at
was.
the time.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider 30 years later, and here we are, and it's almost like I just had a shift with you yesterday. I mean, honestly,
just pick up.
And I mean, I will tell you though, I still till this day have nightmares. So whenever I'm stressed out, I have nightmares about Starbucks. And I have like, I don't know. It's like
Same.
Listen, we forgot about this. Let's all bring out these. Okay, so Brenda is gonna bring out her special one. But this right here, we put these on today, me and Jeff, because we did a little special project that we'll be revealing. And I literally felt my stomach drop. We're putting on aprons for those listening. And Brenda is holding up her apron with her name on it.
Maybe because she was a DM, she got a special
She probably did.
I think it's coming back to me. I forgot. I got like manager of the quarter one year. And so it could be that. It could be that.
Of course. That, she gets a mic drop. Wait, not magic. She gets a mic drop. Of course. We believe it.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you?
I know.
Pastry Queen,
charmer.
Pastry Queen.
But we're wearing these, and I have had nightmares. Many years later, I've had nightmares. So when he brought those up, I almost felt like PTSD was happening. Speaking of mental health, I was like, can I do it? Can I put this on?
Can I say, when you have these nightmares?
Yes.
At least for me, it's always the Studio City store.
Yeah, always.
Always the Studio City store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like in most of my nightmares, I'm opening up by myself and there's nobody there and there's a long line of people. I mean, do you remember how like people, I mean, I know that you guys worked a lot of afternoons or evenings, but a lot of people would be pounding on the glass.
Yeah.
Like, it's like 4:55. Yes. And I'm like,
getting angry because we're not open yet. Because people have to remember there weren't as many stores. Like today, I went to a Starbucks. I told them like near me, and for some reason the whole Starbucks was closed, which I've never heard of. Like on a normal day, they're like, "Sorry, we're closed." I'm like, "What?" Yeah. But today, you just go, "All right, whatever." I literally went across the street and went to a different Starbucks.
Exactly.
Back then, they were like, "If you're not open, we don't have many options.
We have to drive 5 miles away."
Right. We have to go all the way to the Sherman Oaks, and that's about it. And so people would pound, they would stare at us, and they would get angry. They're like, "It's 5:00. Like if it
why aren't you open? I'm parked in the red."
Open at 5:01. We were fucked. So we have these aprons. So like Brenda has one that has her name on it for those who can't see, and she has the original
old school
spread eagle.
Let me see if I can find that one. Here it is. Yes, the spread eagle.
Oh, see, you thought I was the only one who had all these gems. And
you guys saved these. How did you do this? Okay, because I did. I guess I wasn't smart enough.
Did you get a bunch of stock?
Yes, that's our.
I did. Question. I did.
And did you cash it out when you left?
No, I kept some. I still have some, like maybe 10 shares. Yeah.
Did you cash some of it out at all though?
I did. I think
did
like
you
to buy a
house
car.
like Tony?
No.
Got 5 houses.
That bastard. We love you, Tony.
I need help.
Adela.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
you,
it's her support egg white bites.
I thought it was all bullshit. I thought they were lying to us.
No.
I thought it was all BS. And I did nothing with it.
They still get them.
Wow. Oh, they do.
Yeah, because Deep Roast, our informant, has told us that they do grant still, and they also can do the SIP, which was taking it out of your paycheck.
Amazing. Well, that's great.
And what have you heard about this alumni association?
Yes.
I have not. So what was interesting is I went into one store, I looked at their bulletin board and they didn't have it. And then I asked the manager about it and I said, do you know about this whole alumni thing where you scan in the QR code? They had no clue.
You.
And what did they say?
They had no idea. They were like, well, we can look into it for you. No one knows.
I'm telling you.
They heard us.
They put it at the Ventura Vantage. Well, what was the Studio City store?
Yeah.
Ventura Vantage on purpose.
Mm-hmm. They put it
there. Well, we're going to have to go in on July 5.
I know. We should July 5.
Oh, snap, Brenda. I'm in. I'm in.
Let's go.
We're going to film it. I'll bring free drink coupons and see if they'll take them.
He still has free drink coupons.
If there's no expiration, people.
I went up, and of course, the original barista, the barista who I asked was all like, "No, that is weird." I go, "Isn't that weird?" I told about the podcast. I go, "It's kind of strange." We opened the store, and all the baristas were like interested until the lead came out, and she was just like, basically like, "Yes, okay, are you ordering something?" And I was like, I can't really be mad at her because this is Adela looking at Adela.
This is Adela 2.0.
I was like, I feel you, sister. That's all right. I get it. You're right. Okay, give me my drink.
We got you.
I'll be on one. I go, because we opened this store and they have a sign. And she was like, mm-hmm.
They're like, what do you want?
She was like, are you going to order? I go, I ordered already anyway. Thanks. Bye.
She's like, go away, ma'am.
I know. She's like, ma'am. What year was that? I don't even think I was.
I wasn't even born yet.
I wasn't in my father's sack. I don't know.
Okay, can I tell you? Here's a weird thing. So I used to work on General Hospital. I've said a soap, but it was General Hospital. And one of my coworkers, who became a very good friend of mine, I told her I'd worked there when we worked together. So I had told her she lived up the street from that store. She used to come into that store when she was like 5.
What?
And I'm like, I was a grown ass man.
You were at the Ventura Vantage store?
Yes. She grew up the street from that store.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, oh, I totally remember going in there with my mom when I was little. And I was like,
that hurts.
I probably used to wait on you. And you were 5. A toddler. And I was a grown ass man.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys remember Valerie Bertinelli used to come in with Wolfgang?
Yes.
That was the name of Wolfie, her son, who is now like this big rock, he's got his old band, he's really kind of like taken after his father.
Yes.
Since he passed. It's like, and I remember him coming in as like a little kid, with his mom.
I told the story of how when she came in and I didn't recognize her husband, Van Halen.
Yeah.
And I was looking at her like, because I used to think I grew up with her. So I was like, oh yeah. She's so gorgeous. Mm-hmm. She's so gorgeous. Yeah. And I was like, what is she doing with this kind of lame ass guy? Like, he's not cute. He was kind of like acting sketchy. And I go home and tell my boyfriend, who at the time was a musician, and he's like, are you talking about Van Halen? Is that what you're talking about right now? And I was like, is that her boy? Is that her man? I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Because I was only focused on her going like, what are you doing with this loser,
She was so lovely. Gosh, she was always the nicest.
Always nice.
Always.
I follow her on TikTok.
Oh.
Even now.
And one thing I feel really cool with Brenda is that we're both moms late because we had our kids late. Our kids aren't that far apart in age, I don't think.
No. My son turns 13 in September.
And my son just mine turned 13 just recently. So like
same age.
We're kind of in the same. When I see her post, I'm
mom
like,
power.
When she did like braces, I was like getting him braces. Like I was like, okay, we're in the same kind of like. It's a little weird when you have a kid older because you're around all these like millennial moms usually. But
oh yeah, for sure. But you know what? Gen X rules. That's all I say.
Totally
Thank you,
rules.
Brenda.
Yes.
Thank you. Can we get some clapping here?
Oh, clapping?
Yes,
clapping. Sorry, there you go.
Yeah. Gen X rules.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And I also think no one even really knows I'm a Gen X mom usually. I don't know about you.
Oh, no, never.
They never guess.
They think that I'm the same age as they are. I play it that way until
Me
I make
too.
some sort of like Bob Hope reference
Me too.
because I mentioned Bob Hope. They're not going to get that.
Or that you worked at Starbucks in the 90s.
Yeah, like I've been around some moms and then I say something, they're like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Record
I'm
skip.
older than you." They're like, "I did, I did." And I'm like,
Well, I have said this to Adela, and I'll say this to you before we close. You both look amazing, and you still look the same as when I met you. Both of you.
Aww.
Thank you.
You are like a fine wine.
Isn't that fitting since she works with wine?
I guess I
I
just, it just hit me.
know. Is that-
It just hit me. I was inspired.
We can't leave Brenda without giving her a little memory of back in the day.
Oh no.
Where's my Starbucks?
Play it again.
Where's my Starbucks?
Here's the funny thing, I'll just leave on this, that we started this whole crazy road, and now when I see people that are young today, it literally is just like a part of their being.
Yeah. They don't
Starbucks.
they don't know a world without Starbucks in it.
They don't know a world without. Isn't that weird? That's what's
so
That's
weird
where we're at.
you know, and I think like this whole experience, besides just meeting you guys, but think about just and I think Jeff, you've said it before about like the human connection, how we
Yes.
prefer connection. I think so much of it I learned because of Starbucks, you know, dealing with hundreds of customers in 30 minutes and saying, "Hi, how are you? What's your name?"
Yes.
Right.
I mean, think about that. I don't even think people understand that volume, you know, and that ability to connect with a human person every single day like
Yes.
that.
Because
You know?
they weren't distracted with other things.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was always you.
Attention. That's true. That's a good point.
So
thank you for coming on, Brenda. We so
Thanks.
appreciate
we
it.
got to hang out like in person, like do dinner.
Well,
Yeah.
we're not that far away. And
I
if you guys
know.
want to do the whole July 5 thing, let me know.
That kind of sounds awesome.
That does sound awesome. I think we should storm into
Storm the Bastille.
We're like, we are back.
And we can wear our aprons.
Oh yeah, we'll put on our aprons.
And we'll walk in and
we're
we'll
ready
be like,
to work.
We're ready to work. And they'll be like, you don't know. We're like, what is this?
Where's
What
the baguettes? Where's the arugula? Where's the Madeline?
We have the pastry queen here. The bar queen here. And then we don't know anything.
Where's Beanland?
They're like, grandma. All right. Well, do you we'll tag you, but if you want people to follow you by any chance, or you want to just like
you just want to be under the radar.
You want to be on the radar.
They can try and follow me at Brenda Lex on Instagram.
Okay.
I already do because I love you.
I follow you too. I follow both of you. I love you both.
I follow you as well.
Thank you, Brenda, so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. See you soon.
We'll see you later. Bye.